talk about the Pusha T thing because I think that'd be quick, man. What were your thoughts about the new Pusha T song?
Banger.
It was exciting.
Okay. So Mike, in my life, that I've been a hip hop fan when I was a young teen and an adolescent and a young man. Nas was my favorite MC. But as a grown man, post 25, that's my favorite MC and the guy that I think is the best MC. Like he's been the best MC in the game, in my opinion, since Hell Hath No Fury. Bar for bar as an MC.
Okay.
Bar for bar as an MC since Hell Hath No Fury has dropped. I don't think there's anybody better than Pusha T. That's just my stake on it.
Okay.
So obviously, like, am attached to a horse in the race. That's my favorite MC of my adulthood. So when I hear him make fire shit, I don't even know how to contextualize how fire it is. Because the only other person that I prefer to hear over him is Nas in terms of what I personally like. So what say you about the song? Because I think you give more objective analysis.
I like the song. Me and Pusha T, we share a birthday, so I'm very partial to him as well. I'm a big fan. I love Daytona. But I want to ask you something as a follow-up just based off of everything you just said. Him and Nas, I mean, if you want to talk about content-wise, are polar opposites, right? What do you say? Because I saw on According to Hip Hop's page, I saw a lot of people, and a lot of people in the chat might say, the same thing. They're tired of the dope talk, right? What do you say to people who don't hold Pusha as high as certain MCs because of the lack of content, the lack of versatility in his lyrical content?
So you and I had this conversation behind the scenes. There are a few things that I want to say that. First of all, even though personally, probably my second or third favorite, because I was thinking about Scarface the whole time while I was having this conversation with you, like about this too, because I love Face the way that I love those guys too. Because those are the guys that it's like, I don't care where they're at in their careers or what they're dropping. Like I'm running to grab it when it goes out. That's how they make me feel. But to the content thing, the first thing that I'm going to submit to you is that I don't have him where I have Nas, Rakim, Big, or Jay. I have him in the next tier down below that. A lot of that has to do with content, so I'm objective. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
Because the only person that I have up there that high, the content-wise talks the way Pusha talks, is obviously Jay, and he hasn't done it as great as Jay diversified-wise. In terms of diversity.
Yeah, people in the chat are saying similar things. Nas the GOAT says his content never changes. Chris over here says Coop and Mike Push is a one-trick pony. Daryl Baxter says it's true. He's not diverse, but he's still fire. All right. DeCarlo, let me get to his comment. He said, I'll take Push over literally every artist in the mainstream right now. I don't care if he talks about crack on the whole album.
So the next thing that I was about to submit to you is that, well, he's not the guy that you should have problems with this subject matter, because when he's saying it, Mike, and it's part of the reason why I do like him so much. Not like him so much, I love him so much as an MC, Mike. Oh, well, a lot of this shit real and doesn't happen when he talking. And so it resonates different in Mike. Some of the things that he says resonates differently in terms of how he talks about it. Like, Mike, when Hell Hath No Fury starts off, Mike, his last verse on the first song, he says, a 411 Cuban helped us weather the storm. That's not regular dope boy talk. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So he does something on that level that I've only seen Cool G Rap and Jay do at that level.
He's a specialist.
So when you're saying he's a one-trick pony, that's kind of like, well, you understand that what he does, that like the other guys that have done it, if you would say better or at the same level, they're considered to be legendary and heralded for it. So you can't knock him for it and herald them at the same time. Now, can we? We can't herald Cool G Rap and Jay and then punish Push, can we?
Charborough says Benny and Conway never switch up their content and nobody complains about them. I think
I was going to go there next in terms of who he's inspired, because I was actually going to go Gibbs Benny Conway specifically.
Yeah, I mean, I understand what everybody's saying, and I think that we kind of offline when we spoke about this yesterday, where at least it kind of shed some light in my mind as a person that covers hip hop and as a fan of hip hop. It feels like we're in the era of there being so many lanes, but in that era of lanes, it's like everybody's a specialist. You know what I'm saying? So In the playlist era or the streaming era, digital era, whatever we want to call it, people aren't as diverse as they were in the CD era, where we used to expect a range from MCs on an album, right? Like even if you look at It's Dark and Hell is Hot, the record label made sure that there was going to be a How's It Going Down on there. You know what I'm saying? Like there was going to be some range and balance to DMX's debut. I mean, same thing with Biggie. Whoever you would name that was like the big dog then, and I think that foundation was set earlier. But you know, people like Pac took it to that next level where it's like, I'm gonna show you vulnerability. I'm gonna show you, you know what I'm saying, the hardcore shit. I'm gonna show you everything. And I think now hip hop artists, just the way music is assimilated and listened to now, don't have to do any of that. If I'm a dope boy rapper, I'm rapping about dope. If I'm a trap rapper, I'm rapping about, you know, whatever, but we're going with this sound
Hold on, but
sonically.
let's slow down for a second. But
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm saying. No, he's not that. He
Mm-hmm.
really did that. That's different. You
Okay.
feel me?
I
Like his
feel
homies
you.
are really. He got homies that's really locked up doing major time behind this stuff. They were really under surveillance by the feds.
Understood.
Their first video shoot, Mike. They were under surveillance at their first video shoot. They were under surveillance at the grinding video shoot. That's different.
What about
Most
for
of
the
these
hip
guys out
hop
here, no,
listener?
Mike, but I just want to say about 98% of these guys that's talking the way that Pusha T talks, they don't know none of that stuff. They'll say it, they don't know none of that stuff.
But
And
I
so
don't
what
think that's what we're talking about. And I'm not talking about, because again, I'm a fan. I think
well, what
that
I'm saying
I
is
think
that when you're
I
talking about the
believe
dope boy, no, when you're talking about the dope boy talk, well, let's hear it from the guy. Because part of why I like him so much is like, well, let's hear it from the guy that actually knows what he's talking about. You feel me? And that's why I keep bringing it up. This is the guy that knows what he's talking about.
yeah. Listen,
Yeah, he's talking about it.
I
Like,
believe in specialists. Like one of my favorite basketball players was Dennis Rodman. He gonna go out there and get rebounds. Yeah, I believe in the notion of do what you do well and do it to the max. You know what I'm saying? But like you said, I think that in an overall spectrum, it's hard to sit there and say that, you know, let's just say in a vacuum, he doesn't have the versatility as a DMX or something, right? But he has the
no.
longevity over that. If you know, if we want to go there, but like you
Yes.
said, I think Jay is probably the best comparison because Jay has talked that talk, but he also has made "Give It to Me." He's also made, you
Right.
know, go ahead.
No, so I've always said this. The biggest comp for Push is Cool
Excuse
G
me,
Rap.
Miss. Right.
It's like Jay is more of an outlier. And you and I had this conversation behind the scenes. There's never been an upper echelon MC as versatile as Jay in terms of what he's willing to do on records with other people.
Well, that's true.
His projects. So Jay's not an accurate comp because even in his own stratosphere of all the all-time great MCs, he is the most versatile in terms of, well, he'll jump on that record and Rakim and Nas and KRS-One probably not jumping on that record, but Jay will jump on that record. You get what I'm saying?
But I will say this about Pusha T. Sonically, I think that we get caught up in him as a lyricist and what he's able to do on the mic. We forget that he has rhymed over some of these tricky Neptune tracks and made them shits hardcore. A lot, and I know you don't like the happy shit, but some of the shit that would be happy if somebody else had it, him and Malice were able to make some hardcore shit. I think Ancient comes to mind. They use that in like one of those dance movies, and these guys were spitting with Ed
Mike,
Lava and yeah,
Mike, the Popeyes beat with Cameron. That's
yeah.
happy as hell, but they crushed it.
He
They
did.
crushed it. But here's what I'm saying. I'm glad you brought up Tupac because here's one of the things that I want to say, and here's why I brought up Cool G Rap in reference to Pusha T. He's more in that vein from that era of MCs too, Mike. If you really look at that era, your greatest MCs are specialists. Kane is the smooth operator. KRS-One is the teacher. Slick Rick is the storyteller. Rakim is the lyricist. LL is the star. They're all technically specialists, Mike.
Yeah.
Cool G Rap is the street guy.
Man Nan says something. I want to kind of address this. He says, "Does Pusha have a song that's catered?" I guess he meant it says catered. That's catered to females outside of the trap. I doubt it. But he still good.
He really doesn't do that. But Mike, I brought up Darkest Before Dawn when he did records like MPA and Sunshine with Jill Scott, and he almost got no buzz, no love for it. You get what I'm saying? It's like,
Right.
so when he stepped into that realm and done those things, it hasn't been as well received. But I'm glad you brought up Tupac, because Mike, if you really look at the history of hip hop, well, that's when the great specialists stop and the versatility starts becoming mandatory. Pac is the guy that changed all that. All those guys before are specialists. Rakim is still a lyrical technician, tactician, and specialist, Mike. KRS-One is still an educator and teacher. All these guys have specialties. And he's more in that vein. What you find when Tupac comes around, because Tupac is the first guy that you really saw that would make a record for the ladies that slapped hard and could get played on the radio and women would love him, but he also had street records that guys respected. He's the one that really brought the versatility and the vulnerability that you're talking about into the game for upper echelon MCs. Pusha's style precedes that in terms of what he does.
Terminator 2 says that Pusha T's nowhere near G-Rap. I beg to differ. I think
G-Rap don't have no Daytona.
Yeah, I think
I love G-Rap.
I think he's right there, man. I think stylistically, if you want to talk about on a technical flow level, I get you. But bar for bar, man, Pusha's up there.
Mike, I mean, I want people to understand this. Like, actually, lyrically, briefly for a moment, before Rakim dropped Follow the Leader, he's a better lyricist than Rakim. So understand when you're saying, oh, well, Cool G-Rap's a better lyricist. Well, he's a better lyricist than like almost everybody who ever lived, with the exception of like 3 or 4 guys, Mike. So, and even with those guys, questionable. So
DeCarlo brought up LL Cool J, and shots rang out, said LL Cool J and Kane were first on the versatility. All right, I feel what y'all are saying. And I think that we're talking about a lot of different things, right? I think when you think about Kane and LL, obviously you got the knowledge of self with Kane, and you have his ability to, cater to women. Whereas I think with L, people are talking about catering to women and, rocking the party. But with Pop, he was able to give you something else. This was like, Pac was like a combination of NWA, LL Cool J, Kane, and Public Enemy wrapped in one man.
Mike, let's have some real revisionist history.
Mm-hmm.
That versatility about Kane and LL that people are talking about, like glowingly right now, is exactly what was part of their demise.
Yeah.
So it wasn't as versatile as you think. They actually got knocked for it, because they're like, what is this I Need Love shit? What is this smooth opera? So when we're saying it now, like, oh, these guys were so versatile. No. That shit was not okay back then. It wasn't okay.
It kind of went against
the ladies love Kane and LL, so if you want to talk about it on that level, but here's what I'm trying to tell you. They wasn't making records that slapped like Tupac for the ladies. Not like that. Like, I Need Love, Mike. Like, I Need Love is like a dope record, Mike. But ladies don't love that shit the way they love Here and Keep Your Head Up by Tupac. They don't. You feel me?
Yeah.
Not the same thing. You're touching a different chord.
Keep Your Head Up touches a whole different chord.
Great record. Right. Yeah. So the versatility that I'm talking about at a high level being pulled off, that's what I mean. It's not just that he's doing it. No, he's pulling it off.
I don't think there's anybody, especially in that era, and maybe even since, who is diverse enough to do a Keep Your Head Up, I Get Around, Dear Mama, Shed So Many Tears. I mean, it's
Mike,
even the song with MC Breed, like, that's just.
Mike, I always tell people, I Get Around and Keep Your Head Up are on the same album. That lets you know what the range is like.
Yeah, but he was criticized for being hypocritical. You know what I'm saying, in those senses. But honestly, that's range. And when you start talking about somebody like a Tupac or Nas or even Jay, and then you start thinking about lyrical content when it comes to a Pusha, as great as he is, I think that the biggest difference here is the versatility. And I think that you're right to put him in a class B, and a great class B.
It's not class B. It's more like class A minus. You know what I'm saying? It's like, because listen, the guys we talking about, that's the A plus class. That ain't just that ain't just the guys graduating with the perfect GPAs. Then the dudes with like all the sashes and all the honors and stuff too. Like, he still got like a super high GPA. He just don't have like all that magna cum laude hanging off of him the way those guys do. Very few guys are like that.
Well, is there anybody in this era that is versatile like that? I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Like, those guys are like Scarface Blueface album says, emeritus. Like those guys are emeritus status. He's not that, but he's the next best thing.
I think in this era, and we talked about this offline too, I think that J. Cole's probably the most versatile. I mean, in a traditional sense, where he can give you all of those things. He can give you introspectiveness. He can give you records, you know, that women appreciate. He can go out there and do bangers, and he's super active. I think, and, you know, as much as I love Kendrick, and I know I give Kendrick a lot of shit for not, you know, coming out with a record over the past 5 years, but when he does drop albums, you know, I look at them like I'm in awe of how quality it is when it comes out. But I also hear people saying that they don't rock with Kendrick like that. And I think that Kendrick taps into a specific type of listener where most people, I think the average listener can tap into J. Cole easier than they could tap into Kendrick. I don't know if it's a voice thing or what. Or if it's a flow thing, because a lot of the times Kendrick's just hitting you with a bunch of words coming at you really fast. Cole will rap. He'll rap too. He's not out here doing anything with these tricks and schemes. He's rapping.
So stylistically speaking, in terms of what they do with their styles, Kendrick is more versatile with his style than Cole is with his. But the overall versatility, Mike, I would probably have to agree with you. And some of that also has to do with the consistent willingness to touch on different things. Like when Kendrick is putting something together, he's putting together like a piece of art. So it's going to have a consistency to it. Cole has shown a range of being able to go all around the place on other people's projects, on his project, and talk about an array of things in a comfortable way that's attractive to the listener. That is the definition of versatility. And it's kind of funny. That may be something like when you said that, I was like, Mike, that's what he needs to lean on more. I think maybe he leans on his lyricism too much, and he might need to rely on his versatility more because he is wildly versatile, Mike, because when you said Cole's name out, it's like I had nobody for you other than Kendrick, and I agreed with you about Cole. And when I thought to myself that, it's like, man, well, maybe he just need to get more versatile on us more often. Like, show it. Not like he has to be more versatile. That was the wrong way of saying it. Yeah. But he needs to showcase that versatility more because he is the best at it from his era.
Split Spark says that Kendrick Lamar's features gave a thumbs down. I think that's an interesting assessment to make because for somebody who heralds themselves as being on top of the game, you know, he doesn't do a lot of features, and even when we think about the features that he has done in the past, kind of come up short sometimes. I mean, like the Goosebumps feature with Travis Scott, do you not feel like that's a little bit underwhelming?
I mean, I know people love Control, and they're probably going to say that's his best guest appearance. Yeah. But to be honest with you, Mike, his guest appearance that rings most to me is actually an R&B song, and that's How Many Drinks with Miguel. That's his best guest appearance to me, actually, because I saw range, versatility, and I saw him come out of his shell and be a star a little bit at the same time, too. Like, I'm looking for all the things when you're talking about somebody who's great. Control is what he's great at. On How Many Drinks, it's like he had to do all the little things. You know what I'm saying? And he did them well. So that's his favorite guest appearance of mine, actually.
I think features are a testament to your versatility as well. And the fact that he's low on that. DeCarlo says fucking Problems. Okay.
Maybe. No, he smashed Problems. Problems was
dope. Did. And he has the most memorable part on there.
Yeah.
But, you know, and I'm not even a Drake fan like that. I always thought Drake had the better verse. Which is interesting. I mean, because, you know, I mean, because to me,
we could call it a wash.
To be perfectly clear, though, to me, they're not even in the same stratosphere when we talk about MC to MC and spitting or whatever. They're not even in the same stratosphere. So the fact that Drake may possibly have a better verse than him on there is kind of telling me. I mean, I think they were all kind of even across the board. I like ASAP.
It was one of those even records, Mike, where everybody kind of got off really well. So I think it's about who you like the most.
ASAP's interesting, man, because ASAP can get on a song with anybody and be comfortable and chill and swagged out to the point where he's just gelling with the song. No one ever sitting there being like, yo, he killed ASAP. ASAP flows with it.
Yeah. He rocks the joint appropriately. Like he Redman and Eminem had a song once. It's like what the beat tell me to do. Like that's ASAP. ASAP does what the beat tell him to do almost all the time. So he's consistent at that, and he doesn't get enough credit for how talented he is as a lyricist. You know.
What was that? I liked his verse on Mattress when him and Ferg was going back and forth. It was the remix. He was like, did backflips on the mattress, did mad shit on the mattress, and where the magic happens on the mattress. Two fat chicks on the mattress. Anyway, it was fine. It's just the rhyme scheme was crazy, no. And it's so effortless with him too.
That's another thing about ASAP too. You want to know what ASAP is? ASAP is dope, but he has fun on the mic, and you can tell.
Exactly, and it's like he's just going with it, man. And it's like he's not out here trying too hard like some people do.
So Mike, so let's kind of like get back to this so we can get to the next thing.
I was thinking of going towards the game after that, but what were you gonna say?
Right. So just to kind of sum this up, like Pusha is still all-time great. Mm-hmm. It's just he's probably not going to end up in greatest of all-time conversations.
Well, someone just brought up your song. Diesel 101 says Kendrick's verse on Nostalgia is better than Pusha T's verse on Nostalgia.
That is the definition of a wash, and that's not true. Because here's the thing. That's what I'm talking about how you got to kind of know what Pusha's saying on that verse, too. 26 years of selling Johnson & Johnson. I started off as a baby-faced monster. Like, he's telling you how he came up in this. He's even breaking it down like the shit that's going on with the locker and the jacket and the chains he's wearing in high school. He's telling you his thing. But here's how he sets Kendrick up for Kendrick to win. Mike, when he goes, Simon says, he talking about Simon, Suge Knight. Simon says, Simon, red, blood on your diamond till you dying, dead. Yeah, he's setting Kendrick up. That's what the Simon Says is for. He's doing a double entendre because he's letting you know it's a West Coast guy on the track. He's bringing up Suge Knight.
Yeah, he got set up on the city too. And now that we're talking about Kendrick features, it seems like his stronger features came earlier in his career where he was hungry and had something to prove.
Mike, I want to say one more thing. Why do you think Pusha on the verse is saying like Doughboy to Trey? If he rides, he rides, throwing punches any room. If he cries, he cries. He's bringing up boys in the hood. That's a West Coast. Kendrick's on the song. That's why I told you it's a wash, because he set Kendrick up. Kendrick didn't set him up. He just went in. Kendrick set him up and did his thing.
Did you ever see that, speaking of Suge Knight, did you ever see that Suge Knight documentary?
No.
Oh, man, it's interesting. It's very, very interesting.
I'll point out something you didn't know?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, nothing in particular per se, but it's like when you start putting all the pieces and everything together, he's asked all the tough questions on there. He's asked, because obviously people feel like he has something to do with pop. And I find it very interesting, though, even him being in that car and him getting shot. No one ever talks about the fact that he got shot, too. It was reported, but no one ever really talks about the fact that he got shot. Like he said, how would I benefit from this? He said, you know what, something I did hear him say on there, and I don't know, I mean, this is what he said in the documentary. I don't know if it's true or not, but I didn't know that Jimmy Iovine came to him and was like, you got you one now. They're worth more dead than alive, or something like that. After he found out, that Pac was murdered. So, or wasn't going to make it. And, it's a lot in there. You should check it out. I mean, a lot of stuff that we should talk about offline. But, yeah, it's interesting stuff, man. I'll put it this way. I think that obviously Suge went about things the way that he went about them. But I think in this industry of monsters, he's not the monster that people depict him out to be solely. The media has a very interesting way of painting certain, and what T.O. said. He said, they create the villains and the heroes. Mm-hmm. So, but it's interesting to hear his side. And
I mean, okay, Mike. Some people relish the roles more than others too. But you're right. Some people relish the roles more than others on both sides. Mm-hmm. I don't really have too much to say, Mike. I got to go back to Cali.
Yeah, no. Again, it's just on the surface. I'm just talking more so about the record industry, period.
I don't know, Mike. As a record industry exec, I mean, he did successfully run one of the greatest runs that we've ever seen, and he's a pretty smart and savvy guy.
Yeah.
Like, it's not accidental. Like, things like that don't happen by accident. You know,
And honestly,
even if
man,
the
even after the fact, right? He was still able to get artists. Like you remember when that whole run happened when Left Eye came over there, Corrupt
Nina,
came over
the Nina
there.
album, Mike, the
Yeah,
Nina
they were
album.
on 106 in Park and everything. Like he had PD Pablo. If he was such a crazed man, there would be no reason for people to even,
Yeah. Why is Nas still going to Cali to cook it with Suge? Like after
Yeah.
everything that had happened, right?
I mean,
So
he gave quick opportunities to, you know what I'm saying, mix on All Eyes on Me while he was dealing with his record label shit and, you know, dealing with stuff with the label and paying him how he needed to pay him because, you know, he was under contract, you know, just looking out. I mean, just even the whole getting Dre out of NWA was looking out anyway, off
yeah,
top.
no, that's what I'm saying. Is it's like when you look at it, it's like that's what I mean. It's like some people relish it more. It's like, well, look at how he got Dre. It's like, well, was he a villain then?
Well,
Oh,
I mean,
he's a villain
Christopher,
when he's not.
exactly. I mean, you know, you got to be
He's a villain when it's not in your favor.
right. Christopher Moore says Suge is a monster. We hate him. I mean, I think the interesting part about that too is we all love Pac, but who is Pac closest to in the end?
Well, hold on.
You know what I mean?
That's a little different
Is
because
it? Him and Suge was close.
Mike, he got that man out of prison.
He did. Sorry about that, guys.
When somebody gets you out of prison, Mike, out of prison.
Yeah.
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 Did somebody else get Pac out of prison?
No.
Weren't there other people with power and money like Suge, and more so at the time? Like I said, he's only a villain when it's not in your favor.
Obviously, he handled things aggressively.
But he's only a villain when it's not in your favor. You know. Just saying.
Yeah.
I got out of jail. We don't get All Eyes on Me and Machiavelli, maybe, Mike.
No, that's real. Terminator 2 says Pac was closest to the Outlaws. Yeah, I mean, but those are like the little homies. Like he looked at Suge as a big homie. Like you said, he got him out.
What you do
and
for your man?
And you know, honestly,
do you ride for your man to get you out of prison? Man, get you out of prison. Do you ride?
Of course. And you know the other thing though, and that I kind of got from the documentary too, him and Pac had a similar work ethic in the way that they viewed putting records out. He's like, look, I'll get you all the studio time you need. Pac's like, cool, let's do it. So I think that just the way their minds operated, I think that they just kind of link. You know how certain personalities link? Mm-hmm. I think they had linking personalities. Mm-hmm. And
a lot of people went to see Pac in jail.
Yeah.
Right. Who he ended up linking with?
Yeah.
Don't we love Pac?
Yeah.
And Pac considered to be a great mind and thinker?
Yeah. It's
yeah.
You know, again, you know, people are talking about the bullying in the chat, but I mean, making somebody walk to Brooklyn for cheesecake is bullying too. There's a lot of bullying in the industry.
Say, Mike, you want to know how many ways people get strong-armed in this business? People be out here getting robbed without a gun in this industry.
And I think with Suge, it's just one of those things that was just more apparent than others. And
Suge, like I beat your ass, I'll hang you off a roof. Like what, nigga? Like
yeah. Okay. Again, I'm not co-signing any of that stuff saying that I agree with any of it. I just think that for him, we got to see everything where a lot of other people is kind of more so you don't see it until you see it.
Hey Mike, what's the adage? There's 6 million ways to die, 6 million ways to live too. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how he was living.